Greetings, beloved. This is Dr. Felicia LaBoy, lead pastor and life coach at the historic First United Methodist Church, with another motivational moment from the Bible. These motivational moments are designed to help you take what you may hear in a sermon on Sunday, what you may read in your devotional time, what you may learn in Sunday school, and to take those concepts and make them a part of your everyday life. This week, I want us to focus on the idea of pause. Not like pause, like a dog pause, but I'm talking about pause like pause, as in just stops, not even slow down, just stop for a moment, pause. And I want to share with you some research that I found around this concept as I've been thinking about this and thinking about how I'm setting my intentions for this new year in 2021. One of the things I know for me that I think that I've really learned from being shut in during the pandemic and all of that is the importance of not running from one task to another, to another, to another. And even if I'm just sitting around and not really feeling like I'm doing anything or reading or something like that, it still is important to pause. In fact, my new smart watch tells me when I've been doing something too long. It reminds me to get up, to take a small pause and do something different so that I can rewire my brain circuitry. And so this week, like I said, I want to focus on the idea of pause, P-A-U-S-E, and I want to talk about why it's so important for us as Christians. And to do so, I need to share a little bit of the research that I found with you. So I'll be reading from some notes for this week. But basically, what researchers have said is that part of what's going on in the pandemic is that we are burned out. We're burned out from being on the video all the time, on being on Zoom calls all the time, on just watching TV all the time. And really, we were burned out before. It is that we had such an abrupt disruption in our very busy daily lives. And then we jump to an online community in which we are bombarded moment by moment with social media posts, with Google feeds, with all kinds of videos and things like that, that really all of that is taking a wear and tear on our souls. In fact, there is a person, his name is Adam Alter. He's a professor of psychology and marketing at New York University. He has a book entitled Irresistible: The Rise of Addictive Technology and the Business of Keeping Us Hooked. And what he says is this: welcome to the age of behavioral addiction, an age in which half, that's 50%, of the American population is addicted to at least one behavior. We obsess over our emails, Instagram likes, and Facebook feeds. We binge on TV episodes and YouTube videos. We work longer hours each year, and we spend an average of 3 hours each day using our smartphones. Half of us would rather suffer a broken bone rather than a broken phone. Did you hear that? We would rather suffer a broken bone rather than a broken phone. And many millennial kids spend so much time in front of screens that they struggle to interact with real live human beings. In fact, there is another person by the name of Nicholas Carrs, and he has this book entitled The Shallows: What is the Internet Doing to Our Brains? And he wrote that about 10 years ago. But I bet that in an updated version, if you look at his blogs, what he talks about is that all of this technology is short-circuiting our brains. So we don't have a whole lot of time to focus in, because the smartphone, social media, all of that has taught us how to jump from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing. Now you might say to me, Pastor Felicia, but I'm retired. Yeah, you are. But think about how much addiction you may have, or how much of someone else's addiction you may have gotten caught up into. Are you a grandparent who is busily shuttling your grandkids hither, thither, and yon? Are you a person who is at home who is dealing with some sort of issue. And so you're watching TV all day, or even if you're dealing with a health issue, or you're dealing with someone else's health issue, how often do we take time to go, or do we run from thing to thing to thing to thing, never thinking that we have time to take a pause, to take a breath, to say, let me step back a minute and not only get some perspective on this thing, but maybe to take a minute and ask God what he thinks about this thing. I wrote down a quote from Dr. Anna Phillips that I keep now hung up in my office at home, which says, I am not out of time and I'm not out of opportunities. What? Think about how often we say that we are out of time and out of opportunities. And beloved, I want to suggest that what that does to us is that it helps us to have a scarcity mindset. What it says is that if there are things that I need to get done and there's disruption or dysfunction or something goes on, then I've somehow missed things. Beloved, we serve an abundant God. And the Bible tells us that God works all things together for our good, and that if we will ask God, he will teach us how to redeem our time. The problem is many of us are often derailed by the tyranny of the urgent. And what that means is simply this. It means that we have a plan for the day, and then the phone rings and we get off track, or someone asks us to do something, or someone stops us, or we decide to look at our phone for 1 minute, and before we know it, we're down the rabbit hole on something else. Beloved, the word for today and this week is pause. Our God is an abundant God, and he will show us from all of the options we can choose. He will show us if we will ask him. He will show us how to use our time, not to be busy, but to be fruitful, which is what he wants. He wants us to be focused in on the things that he calls us to do day by day, moment by moment. John Eldridge, in his book entitled Get Your Life Back, he talks about the fact that one of the things that he just discovered when he started paying attention was how much all of this running around and frenetic activity was really destroying his souls. Ask anybody that spends all day on Zoom, and I can tell you, man, many of those folks know that they desperately need a pause. In fact, while all these wonderful guys from the New York University Business School, or this brilliant New York Times bestselling author and pastor, John Eldridge, is writing about these things, you know, beloved, God knew that we needed a pause years ago. In fact, he commands us to take a pause in the 10 Commandments in Exodus 20. He calls that pause a Sabbath, a day where we don't focus on any work, but rather we focus on worshiping him. We focus on our family and our friends and doing something that refreshes us, something that we enjoy doing. Now, for some, that might be quietly reading a book. For some, it might be sitting in a bookstore. For some, it might be going to play. It might be going outside for a walk. God said that we needed a pause. We needed a break in the middle of our busy work schedule to stop and to really determine what's important. And if we don't want to only look at the commandments, we simply can turn our attention to Psalm 46, verses 1 through 10. Psalm 46, verse 1 says, God is a very present help in a time of trouble. And Psalm 46 and 10 says, be still and know that I'm God. And I think when we hear it that way, we're like, okay, I know you're God. I don't need to be still, right? Hear it this way from the New American Standard Bible. Cease striving and struggling. Trust that I am God. Wow. Cease striving and trust that I am God. Basically, this is what Jesus was trying to say to Martha. Martha, I'm here. And you are so busy running around trying to get everything in order and trying to fix things and figure things out. If you would just spend a few minutes with me, I'll tell you, I will show you, I will instruct you, as it says in Psalm 90, on how to use your time. Jesus was a master at this. He often set some time aside by himself to pray and to get instructions for the day. So, beloved, all of this is good. We know that we need time, either time because we're spending too much time alone and it's draining our souls, or we're spending too much time being super busy, or we're spending too much time in front of a screen, whether that be a TV screen, a phone screen, a computer screen. We need to pause. So how do we do it? Eldridge says that simply what we do is we take time as we go from one task to the other to acknowledge that God is there and to give him everything. To say simply, Jesus, I give you everyone and everything. I give everyone and everything to you, God. And he says that we should practice that at least twice a day. Maybe we get in our car and we're on our way to the store, and we get to the store and we're running about thinking about all we got to buy, what we got to do. He says, just take a minute before you go into work. Take a minute before you come home from an activity and sit there for a minute and set a time for a minute to start and pause so that you have some transition time, some time where God can break in and give you maybe fresh revelation, maybe deal with some things that are bugging you, right? Now, I don't know about you, and this is going to sound really funny because I just got on this about being on our phones and TV and screens too much, but hopefully this will help you. There are times, given all that I have on my schedule as a pastor, as a wife, as a mother, grandmother, as one who is mentoring other pastors, and all the things that I have to do and trying to be a good and faithful friend, there are times that I get distracted easily. Don't look at me like that. You know you get distracted too. And I need a little help. And so Dr. Eldridge has an app. You can get it on the iPhone store. You can get it on the Google Play Store. You can even set the thing up on your computer by which it sets a time for a minute and he speaks the mantra for you so that you can be used to saying, Jesus, I give everything and everyone to you. God, I give everyone and everything to you for a minute. And then in the app, it helps you move from a minute to 3 minutes to 5 minutes. Good Lord, who doesn't have 2 minutes a day if you do that twice a day to start, or 6 minutes a day, or no more than 10 minutes? And what he argues and maintains, and what I think is so right, is that when we take time to acknowledge God, when we take time to stop striving and struggling and being so concerned about many things. Remember, several moments ago, I told you that the enemy battles us in our mind, keeps us worried and focused on this and that, and jumping from this and that. Our mind is divided. What would it mean if we could be centered in on God moment by moment, minute by minute, and really hand over the things to God by saying, God, everybody, my spouse, my church, my friends, my kids, my grandkids, me, I give everyone and everything that concerns me to you. God, I give everyone and everything to you. And then when we progress, after we've emptied ourselves of all of our stuff, everyone and everything, Eldridge says that what we then say is, I was made for union with you, God. Fill me with you, God. My desire is to spend a moment with you, God. Think about it this way. If you can remember when you were in love, remember how, no matter how busy you were, how excited you were to pick up that phone to hear the voice of your beloved. I'm suggesting that we do that with God. So, beloved, this week, I'm encouraging you to find minutes to pause. And not only to pause for a minute or two day by day or all of that, but also to make sure that you take time for Sabbath. Beloved, God created the Sabbath to say that he was God enough to take care of us and to provide for us 7 days by only having us work for 6. It is a whole mindset around abundance so that we can really rely and lean on and lean into God, because he will take care of us. And he never created us to be human doings, but human beings. He never created us to work 7 days a week, 12 or 15 hours a day. That's a recipe for dying too soon. Beloved, this is Dr. Felicia LaBoy, lead pastor and life coach at the historic First United Methodist Church in downtown Elgin, Illinois, with, that's my pause, another moment from the Bible. If you are interested in finding out more information on Dr. Eldridge's 1 Minute Pause app, because you need a little help like me, then head over to our website at FUMCELGIN.org. That's FUMCELGIN.org. And we will have a link to the website for the 1 Minute Pause. Beloved, again, this is Dr. Felicia LaBoy, lead pastor and life coach at the historic First United Methodist Church in downtown Elgin, Illinois, with another motivational moment from the Bible. Be blessed, and I'll see you next week. Thanks.